tonight we've got the two keynote speakers coming on right now. King, King Royston John, and our beautiful, she's no stranger to our platform, a sister that we love in our community, Sister Dr. Sandra Richards. And so, can I ask them please to show their beautiful black shiny faces so we can start tonight? Royston, you're looking crispy, my big brother. I see you. And my sister Doctor, you're looking regal. Regal tonight, man. Jeez. You don't know. Family, I'm saying to Royston, I'm saying to Sister Doctor, thank you for your patience. Thank you for holding on. The time that we discussed, I'm telling you now, take all of that time. Please don't cut your presentation down. And I'll say to brothers and sisters, because I know they're probably going to say anyway, we're going to be putting down their contact details because tonight we are going to be getting passionate. We are going to be being very personal and we're going certain places. If there are any triggering issues, please contact Sister Dr. Sandra Richards and Brother Royston for follow-up sessions or just to discuss what you heard tonight. So I'm going to shut my mouth. Please know that your time allocated is fully given to you both tonight. Can I introduce our two guests tonight and drop some ones for our beautiful family? All yours.
Peaceful greetings. Peaceful greetings, Brother Andrew. I see you've turned off your screen, but I want to greet you and give thanks for the opportunity to once again be among family.
Midday. Don't worry, I'm with you, my queen. I don't want to take up no more of your time.
No problem, but I just want to give thanks for the opportunity and also to the Hidden Truth team and the Hidden Truth family. The speakers that went before, I mean, I also want to give thanks to the Most High because that's what we must do. I also want to give a special thank you to our spiritual scribe, S.A. Ogeni, who has supported our attempt to cram a lot of things into the session that we have. And let me contain my excitement by introducing my co-presenter, Royston John, who I call Brother King, and it's interesting because Brother Andrew calls you Brother King too, as we share our presentation with this very provocative title. We thought about belching, but we thought reflux was probably the better thing to do.
That code switching thing, go on.
Yeah. You know, actually, when you talk about code switching, I just have to acknowledge Lady Ma'at, because just listening to Lady Ma'at's presentation, I actually wondered if there was any point us doing ours, because, you know, talking about the borders and the boundaries and belonging and racialized inequalities and cultural appropriation and exclusion from this and that and the psychological impact and call to action, and that's pretty much our presentation, right? Okay, so let me introduce you properly. Apart from being a colleague of mine, I know you to be a accomplished and very well respected and trusted professional and advisor. I'm going to read my notes because if I go over too much, we will be here and then Culture Mark will probably have something to say. So you have the envious reputation of being highly sought after, and I know this to be the case because getting time with you is challenging. You're also a professional management consultant, a business and leadership coach, the CEO of NCBI, National Coalition Building Institute, training for some 26 years, I believe. You're an internationally recognized provider of emotional intelligence, equality, equity, diversity, and inclusion programs, and you deliver countless workshops and presentations. I understand also that you've delivered over 800 workshops to over 25,000 people nationally and internationally. So, yeah, yes, give thanks and recognize that. But you also are a TEDx speaker and a TEDx speaker coach. I mean, I mean, most people try to be a TEDx speaker, or a lot of people try to be a TEDx speaker, but you're a TEDx speaker coach as well. And of course, people can see your TEDx talk. Why did the wind rush? I think I have given a broad brush picture of who you are, and I recognize that your voice matters because we are doing our thing ma'atically this evening. I often come onto the platform solo, but this is obviously a bigger thing than any one of us can deal with. So, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sis Dr. Queen. Give thanks, Brother Andrew, for your amazing, amazing hidden truth that is going into millenniums, and when the next stratosphere comes, hidden truth will be identified as the anchor that certainly worked to keep our community together. So give thanks for all that you've done, and continue to do for our people. Thankful, without pay, I'm going to name it without pay, without pay, a love gift. Thank you, my brother. So greetings, family. Thanks for the privilege to be amongst you all this evening. And it is a pleasure to work alongside Sis Doctor. Now, we are used to co-hosting. We co-host under the mango tree, which we've been doing since lockdown. So that's 5 years of co-hosting on a regular twice a month basis is ongoing. So sister that I trust, I've known for a few decades now, and her strength in giving to the community, again, it's not written down. When I met her, she was giving to the community. So it's an honor to introduce her, a colleague, deeply respected, elder, visionary, and guide in our community. Sis Doctor is a highly sought after African centered specialist whose work sits at the powerful intersection of healing, leadership, and justice. For decades, she's been walking with our communities through grief, trauma, chronic illness, and systemic oppression, offering both psychological insight and spiritual wisdom rooted in Caribbean and African diaspora traditions. She's an author, crafting words that speak directly to the lived realities of our people, and an educator, shaping minds and hearts in classrooms, workshops, organizations, and community spaces. As a researcher, she brings rigor and integrity to documenting our stories, our struggles, and our strengths, making sure our voices are not erased but centered. Sis Doctor is also an African-centered psychotherapist, a life and leadership coach, supporting individuals, teams, and organizations to move from survival to transformation. Her approach is deeply relational, compassionate, and unapologetically African-centered. When you meet her, that's the first thing she tells you: I'm an African woman. Inviting people to remember who they are and to lead from that grounded space. Beyond her clinical and educational work, she's a committed human rights advocate, standing firmly against racism, gender-based violence, and all forms of dehumanization. Whether she's working one-to-one, supporting staff teams, or speaking on public platforms, Sis Doctor consistently calls us to honor the dignity, complexity, and brilliance of African lives. Today, she brings that same depth of experience, clarity of insight, and warmth of spirit to us. Please join me in welcoming Sis Doctor, our elder, our teacher, and our sister. Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Okay.
So, in all that we do, we have to make sure we take care of ourselves. And so, we have a duty of care. And we also want to make sure that we do not abandon our own responsibility for ourselves. So this is not therapy. It may be therapeutic, but it's not therapy. We share only what feels safe. We encourage everyone to listen with respect. If you have access to a notepad and pen or pencil, please use it. This is a fast-moving presentation, and we know that we cannot cover everything or deal with every single aspect of everything, but we want to make sure we take care of each other. If at any stage you feel triggered or overwhelmed or just something comes over you, please feel free to step away, to breathe, to do what you need to do, to anchor yourself, and return if you can. Now, if you can't, and you're a part of the Hidden Truth team and you subscribe and register, you'll be able to see this again. So we encourage you to do that. It's important to have support, and it's important to recognize that your story matters. So please take care of yourself as we go through this very fast-paced presentation. Now, I have notes because I don't want to miss anything. Brother King, I'm not sure if there's anything you want to add.
I think you covered it, but the point I want to add in terms of the notepad, the comments in the chat is brilliant as we flow through, but we want you to be able to have reference points for yourself that when you wake up tomorrow morning, you can look at those reference points. Yeah, and the comment in chat will be lost. So that's why we've invited you to have a pen and paper handy. Might be questions to yourself, might be questions to us, might be a commitment that you make for yourself, because this is real talk. So today we're going to take a look at, settle in, get you here, get you comfortable. We're going to talk about reflux and what that means and why things keep repeating on us, and the truth is we talk about reflex, but we just wanted to talk about Belgian, and those of you around older people, when they let out a Belgian, you're in the company of elders, so those things that keep repeating on us. We get to look at the whole person impact. We get to look at healing pathways, and there'll be some time for our question and answers in the process.
So, what do we mean when we say reflux and being held hostage by childhood? We're clear to say childhood and not children, because some of us are in situations where it almost feels like we're being held hostage by our children. But we're talking about recovering the adult self from childhood trauma, and why we keep bringing up things that happened to us in our childhood, like trapped wind. This presentation will be culturally grounded. We are seeking to have an informed conversation. We are talking about lived experience, our memories, survival, and most of all, healing. What do we mean? What do we mean by reflux? Well, it's a metaphor. And we've touched on it, really. We're talking about bringing up things that went down or things that went inside, and not just in terms of it being wind or food or liquid, but remembering things that have happened to us that have a physical impact. And you could feel it perhaps as you become anxious or tense, you get headaches or some other reaction. Some kind of mental repeat, you know. Maybe we heard that we were stupid when we were children, or maybe somebody told us something and we then began to police our own selves and said we won't speak of whatever it is. And then we've adopted a state of shame, despair, or hopelessness, and feeling cut off, empty. People often ask me, you know, I don't know what my purpose is. How will I return to my purpose? I feel like I have one, but what is it? So this reflux can interfere with our relationships in whatever spaces we're in, and how we interact with each other, and even how we parent.
So reflux is a powerful metaphor because it represents that trap feeling. And all of us at one time or the other has experienced that trap wind. So we wanted to identify with something that's a commonality for everybody. So reflux, belching, trapped wind, all of those things we've had. And what that's telling us is there's an unfinished story. There's an old pain somewhere that keeps resurfacing. And it resurfaces in so many ways. And we might have got to 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80 years old, and yet this thing keeps recurring. And it keeps recurring because it hasn't been addressed or dealt with. So why are we having the conversation now? Well, why not now? You may say this conversation is 20 years late for me, but it's still better to address it now than keep deferring it until we die. And sometimes we're looking at things that we've experienced as a 3-year-old or 8-year-old or 12-year-old, whatever age, that are trapped us in our life, that consciously we may have forgotten about, but the body never forgets. So the body learned to take care of a situation when we were 3 or 5 or 8 or whatever, and it's been doing that all our lives. And that manifests in a particular style of behavior. So notice what we've got and what's not healing within us. There's a lot of saying, if you're around the profession, people talk about trauma-informed, trauma-informed, trauma-informed. But who has the trauma? And who's actually informed? There's a reality that says a lot of us is not understood by others. You know, and what is that trauma? Well, it's something that happened that created an impact that gets stored in the body. It could be a cat died. It could be a parent left. It could be I had the wrong touch. Yeah, all of those has created that trauma. But within the construct of that, who gets believed? Who gets validated? Lady Ma'at told us about, in effect, the structure of racism, and that disbelief of us is a way of minimizing and keeping us small. So that exists around us, and it's time to take the lid off that.
So the event never leaves us. It's not just what we remember in our mind or what we seek to keep under wraps in our mind. It's actually stored in our body as well. It's where our past lives. It lives in us. And we are more than just physical beings. We can hold grief in lots of different parts of our body. And many of us have uncried tears, many of us, because we've been taught not to cry. Cry and see what I do to you. And then there are things that we want to say, but then we're told not to say them. And so there are parts of our body, our energy clusters, that have not been able to balance or release, which affects how we are. And our spirit can feel cut off, disconnected. We can feel flat. But doing the work allows us to name these places and notice where that story that Brother King talks about sits, so that the healing can actually begin.
We're going to invite you to just take a moment and maybe make a note of what you've heard or what's come up for you. And we're just going to play a track for a few seconds while you do that.
Yeah, so now we're on the journey. We're taking the time to allow the thing that we often don't have time to deal with it today. And remember that you have a responsibility to take care of yourself. I've looked at some of the things in the chat. There are things around abandonment, around disconnection, and all these things are being held in our body. That's where many of us hold stress, and in the mind. So we actively work not to reveal what's in our mind. We don't want to go to a therapist. We don't want to go anywhere. We want to just wait till it goes away. And then the spirit also feels cut off because it's not being given air and life. Now, when we look at remembering, we have to look at our whole self, the whole person. Because reflux is not just a physical thing. It happens in lots of different ways.
From our body, our mind, and our spirit, where the past lives, in various places. We've heard the phrase, the body keeps score. And that's a literal truth, because every experience that we have had from pre-birth to the day we die, the body remembers, the body recalls, and it's informing our steps and our behavior. So consciously, we may have long forgotten that thing that created that metaphorical limp. But the body has not forgotten and has continued to protect us in that way when it doesn't need to anymore because we are significantly grown. And it keeps score by impacting our rest and our sleep, our spiritual life, our journalists, our relationships, our community, and just out being with my brethren or sisterin. We are acting in a particular way that, what's going on? What's going on with Royston? Why is he? Yeah, people are asking questions but don't know why. And me as an adult, what I'm really presenting is my 3-year-old self, and I'm not aware of it. And in keeping score, there's a pain in my mind, in my sleep, in my skin, and as this doctor highlighted, we get messages that's thrown at us that says, you know, what's wrong with you? You're an idiot, you're foolish, you're dotish. And all of those negative comments are saying, don't ask for help. Because if you ask for help, you're validating that you are what somebody said or what somebody projected at you. And what you're missing is that the cycle. They projected at you what was projected at them. And if we don't catch ourselves, we projected our children. And so it goes on. So that headache, that pain in our gut, the tension, the anger, the reflux, and of course the good old-fashioned belch are all part of the body keeping score and reminding us of all that's going on within.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at the chat, you get the different words, the taboo around it or the stigma around it, and so you work to keep it under control. But it can happen. You know, a belch can happen anywhere. When it becomes too much, it comes up. It may come up in our reaction. You know, you can have something very ordinary happening and somebody say something and it triggers you, and wow, they get it. It could be at home, work, church, in the shop. It could be anything. Deja vu, something triggers that and it comes up. And your body may react, your emotion may react. You will react, even if it is to just keep it under control. You're reacting. That's trauma. That's that child in the shadows. That's the child still walking with you, waiting for you to deal with whatever it is you have to deal with in adult life. So you may be appearing as someone who's older, but acting like someone who's much younger and thinking that no one will notice. But actually, there's a lot of people who can't reach elderhood. They can just get old. And these old stories are finding new rooms because we are repeating the pattern. So the child in us starts to react and the adult can't hold it down. And we have to name the pattern, because in naming the pattern, we can then do something about it. So, what happens when the younger self gets triggered? Do we throw a strop, a 3-year-old strop? And what are we doing that to do? Are we trying to protect ourselves? Are we trying to react, but we don't have the words? We feel powerless or submissive? Or are we feeling like we're not being heard or seen? Or are we just feeling judged or misunderstood? And what is happening when the younger self gets triggered? And when the younger self gets triggered, it's not a past thing. It's very much a present thing. And it's a wound. It's a wound that needs to be paid attention to so it can be repaired and healed.
So what does it look like? Well, the manifestation of the patterns get established early. And there's a saying that give me a child before 7 and I give you the man or the woman. So if you were the good one, how do you end up in that place of seeking approval? I'm strong. So always showing that strength. And this, by the way, was part of the pattern that enslavement manifested on us, making our men physically strong but mentally weak as a deliberate mechanism to get the plantation work done without an uprising or a pushback. The quiet one, academically focused, the joker, and we all know the joker. You know, I was thinking, yeah, we got a lot of black comedians because survival sometimes say, I've got to tell a joke in order to keep the thing from impacting on me. And the fixer fixes other people, makes it well for other people. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of those structures, but just to recognize where the seed was sown and how they were sown, right? And how they've continued to manifest. And then the sort of story continues and manifests. And because we bring a particular pattern, we get a set of responses from our parents, from our partner, from our boss, from our friend. And we might, if we stop to reflect, we think, why are people continuously dissing me in this particular way? Not recognizing that we are bringing our pattern, and that pattern might be about, abandonment or something that's happened along the way that never got the attention that it needed to get in order to be fixed, to be healed. So those triggers, has already been said, can manifest in a sound and smell and taste and color and face and time. And I was thinking about today, there was a woman I worked with some years ago. She was approaching 40. She had a son who was, I think, 21 at the time. And that son was, let's just say, inappropriately presented to her. But this woman approaching 40, at 4 o'clock every day, she would take on the demeanor of melancholy, a sadness. And why? Because that was the time that her abuser appeared. 4 o'clock every day. So approaching 40 and still not free of that pattern of behavior.
And it's funny, the stories are coming forward, and thank you for those of you who are writing in the chat and you're recognizing that you're seeing those things in yourself, because we do need to use a mirror and look at what it is in ourselves. But we've also been taught to swallow it, don't make a fuss, don't embarrass us, just hush, just hush. It'll be all right. And so you swallow it. You swallow it down. And, just to bring my part of my story into the room, I'm the oldest girl in a Caribbean family. I have 6 siblings. And being in that role meant that I used to just automatically take charge of things. And then I'd be exhausted. I never complain. But it would come up. And unless we do the work, the silence can become a reflux and come up where you don't expect it to, or where you don't want it to.
Don't bring your dirty washing into the public. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell people. Don't need a therapist. Don't talk to nobody. So what keeps repeating on us? What are the patterns? What are the triggers? Where is the place that we go where we see the same thing playing itself over and over again? And I guess the only thing that's really changing is our age. Every year, if we are blessed, we get another year to add on to the one that we had before. Same story, different characters. But it doesn't stay buried. And noticing it allows us to break the cycle of it. If we don't break the cycle of it, our development is arrested. So we get older, but there are parts of us that are still very immature and adolescent and maybe infantile, where the pain happened and that's where you stopped growing. So you look like you're older, but there's parts of you that were missed and need attention. And it can affect your leadership. Some of us step into spaces that we are offered and we feel like we've got imposter syndrome, or we are not good enough, or we do 3 times as much, or it affects our intimacy. Basically, it holds us, it arrests our development, and we can't rejoin our whole self. So we get older, we may be quiet, but we may not be peaceful and healed.
You know, thinking of, so we get held hostage by our childhood. I'll say what I'm going to say in a minute. You know, the impact of those chains. So I may look physically strong and competent in so many ways, but you're not seeing the ball and chain that I'm dragging around. So those past experience still controlling and controlling. And here's the bad news. If we don't address it, it will control us for the rest of our lives. So I'm thinking, as you were speaking, says Doctor, of a brother. He was in his 60s, and yet he'll still stand by the side of the road and chirps every woman that walk by. Yeah. And it looked ugly on him because you're in your 60s now. You know, if you got away with it in your teens. But yeah. And I've coined a phrase around this manifestation on us. Children are like bananas. You don't see the bruises until they're ripe. You know, we go and we choose our bananas really carefully in the supermarket, and we think we've got something that's good. And as it ripes, then we begin to see all the bruises in it. And, Joe, why did I pick that one? You know, so that manifests in us. It looks good in the beginning, and then something happens.
And so we turn the pain inward because we're told not to make a fuss. Don't do this, don't do that, don't embarrass. But the trauma is still there. And children blame themselves. And as adults, we grow up and we blame ourselves. We blame ourselves for things that we're not responsible for and we can't explain. And the silence grows in that place. You know, you don't really want to talk about it. You know, you want to avoid it, but you can't avoid the trauma that you've already experienced. And that shame or embarrassment or ownership of something that you're not responsible for can live in your body, can live in your voice. It can live in your ability to be your fullness. It can live in the relationships that you have. And naming it helps to loosen it. You know, just recognizing that it's there and it happened, and that what happened to you is not your fault. It's not who you are. It's what happened. So, whose voice are you still hearing? When you're making choices, when you're going for things, do you have that voice that says, well, you're not good enough, or you're going to make a mess of it, or you're just eggs up, or you're too dark, or you're too light, or you're too this, you're just not right? Or was it a parent? Was it a guardian? Was it a friend of the family? Was it a colonizer? Because the memory lives in our DNA. And we were shown things, even if it didn't happen to us physically, it lives in our DNA. And so we have that memory, ancestral memory, that makes us very cautious, and we have voices. So whose voice is still in your head?
And how many of us were told, yeah, I know, just stay away from him. Yeah. So an acknowledgement that this person is unsavory, but not being dealt with, just stay away from them. And by the way, I can't see the chat, yeah? So that's out of my remit right now. So our Right Honorable Robert Nesta Marley talks about mental slavery and to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. And I've heard those words said over and over by many people. But do we really know what it is and what it means? Do we know what being held hostage looks like in terms of mental slavery? It is an imprisonment of our mind. It is an inner chain, as Lady Ma'at was presenting to us. So the physical outward chain is no longer necessary, but the inner chain is still at work and still holding us. So I'm going to ask you to write down your response to this question. And when I ask you to write down your response, write the first thing that comes to mind for you when you hear this question. And the reminder that the brain never lies. So if it tells us to write something down that completely out of your psyche, write it down. And the question is, what controls you? What controls us?
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book.
So write it down.
You know, I saw in the chat, one of the family wrote that, you know, many of us had a reaction to Roots. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was a visceral reaction to watching
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
And one could say we weren't there. Why did we feel like that? Because the memory lives in us. You know, there is an impact on us, the whole person. A lot of people got angry when they watched it. A lot of people got sad when they watched it. You know, many of us have seen things happen to people in close proximity to us and think, well, it's okay, we're okay because it was them. No, trauma touches us in lots of different ways and in more than one area of our lives. And everything is connected. We are interconnected beings. Unfortunately, when we go to Eurocentric systems, they may look at your foot and not look at the rest of your body, or they look at your hand, or they ask you things about your emotion but don't attach it or connect it to anything. And then it has an impact on your relationships, and your work and your community are affected. We are interconnected, holistic beings that have a present, a past, and a future. And the healing works best when we actually see ourselves as whole, within our own context, with our own lens.
You know, as you speak about roots, what comes to mind is that there were some in my school who was ashamed, you know, that we were being shown in a particular light. And rather than claim this is what happened to us, they were ashamed. So the wounds of belonging, you know, I talk in the TEDx talk about the love child and the abandoned child, the wounds of belonging, but I also talk in there about one of the things that I did was climbing trees and sucking mangoes. And of course, I enjoy sucking mangoes and still do to this day. But when I look back on it, that was a mechanism for self-care. So, a rhetorical question, who are we? Are we the love child? Are we the abandoned child? Are we the barrel child? Are we the outside child? Are we the boarding school child? Are we the migration child? Have we experienced class of disability or gender? What has impacted on us? And of course, we name the wound. Naming the wound is not blame on us. In order to heal, we need to name the wound. And that's all we're beginning to do, to get to that place of reality. This is what happened to me. I am not that thing. The whole stuff about can't get the word out. Hey, that thing there.
Colonization.
Thank you. That word there. Yes, all that. And the mental slavery. Some of us grew up in care homes. You know, some of us got the message of good hair and bad hair. So we struggle to put down the wig, you know, and so on. All of those things have impacted in some way. Name it in order to get the victory over it.
So some of us were taught to hide the pain and survive. And this is a remnant, this is a legacy of a colonized space. Racism and empire shaped our silence. You know, we were shown what the standard was, and the standard was not ours. And then some of us were told that our history started in a period of enslavement. That's not the truth. It's not the truth. So we need culturally grounded, racially literate care and understanding. Because some of the healing models that are out there, I know when I was doing my training, I was like, you know, but you're not speaking to me. You're not talking about my story. You're talking about another story, and I get the other story, but where am I? It has to fit the people it serves. The healing has to fit the people it serves. So, how far back do we want to go? You know, we've been torn from ourselves over and over and over. We've been stolen. Some of us cannot identify where our heritage really is. We can only go back to maybe a grandparent. Some of us can't. There's been rupture, and there has been trauma, and there has been separation, and we have been told to be quiet about it, and we'll be okay. So we've lost our place in history's pages across generations. We discover our siblings sometimes and our family by going to a place and someone says, oh, well, you know, you look like. And then we start to discover ourselves. So some of us have gone to the continent, and then we have had an experience that can't be articulated because the body doesn't forget. And the healing means that we have to acknowledge that. Because attachment has not been afforded to some of us. So we've become unattached, detached.
And the manifestation of that, the experience of enslavement, colonization, the church, the visceral silence that we have been sworn to, all of those things impact. You know, and I remember many years ago, I was at an event in Malcolm X, and a brother from Patty Gift, and Patty Gift was a Black mental health support organization in Birmingham. And he said, all of us, every one of us, are traumatized and impacted by that trauma. And if you tell me you are not, then tell me, when did you get better? And that was, whoa. So when did we get better? So man cool, man all right, everything good. It's a damn lie. And I leave that there. You know, the emotional patterns that repeat on us as men, we do anger very easily in a number of cases. It's right there, it's present. Because bad things were done to us that should manifest an anger. And our parents and their parents and so on. We saw anger a lot. It was used by some to solve problems. The idea of giving somebody two thump and everything is all right, yeah, was a problem-solving tool. Our body reacts before our mind does in a number of cases. So if I bring a hand to your face, for example, you'll put up a hand in defense or you'll blink. And that's not hand coming to face, think. The body reacts. So we have a number of learned behavior. You know, and in our community today, we have situations where somebody is serving 30 years for a 30-second moment. He dissed me and I responded in 30 seconds. And the manifestation of that is 30 years. So when we compare 30 seconds to 30 years, who's actually dissing who? If I'm going to sit in a place for 30 years, I'm dissing myself. So we need to get control of all of this. Our shutdown, our anger, our sadness, our fear, to be able to bring it to light, to talk about it, because it's present in all of us. And there's a whole plethora of emotions that actually manifest in us that we don't actually get to talk about. So I wanted to bring this piece to us, the drama triangle. If I choose to be victim in any situation, I throw somebody, whoever is present, in either to the rescuer or the persecutor role. It's inevitable. If I choose that, somebody has to be persecutor, somebody has to rescuer. If I choose to be rescuer, then I'm looking for that victim because somebody is in that persecutor. You know, and the best example I'll give you, and I'll borrow from others. So we've all possibly, mostly, frequently experienced white women tears. So she comes as the victim. And what then happens, the rest of the room becomes rescuer. And you or I, who said, no, that's mine, we get thrown into that role as the persecutor because somebody decided to choose victim and cry. And sometimes when that happens, we end up being helpless. So we have to move to that potency pyramid to stand in our power, to name the vulnerability. I experience racism. I experience this. Name the vulnerability. And being responsible, say, this is the appropriate action I'm going to take. Because if we don't do that, then the next time the same thing happens, or we just back away completely. You know, so it's important to understand when that happens, we have to step into that place, bring our power, take responsibility, and stand in our vulnerability. This is what I'm experiencing.
Thank you. I'm going to move quickly through these because I think we've established
Yeah.
that there is the inner child and there is the adult self. But the adult that we are can become the safe space. So we have to meet our younger self. And the healing grows when we start listening without mocking ourselves. And the reparenting, you know, we take small, steady steps. Some of the things we can do are to establish boundaries. Do some self-talk, affirmations. And sometimes it feels strange, but the thing that's familiar has been quite harmful. And if you keep having reflux, if you keep burping, burping is a little bit gentler, but if you belch, you're actually hurting your inside. So let's do some stuff like playing and repeat it. Be comfortable doing it. Don't feel guilty doing it. Because a small daily care can rewrite some of those old patterns. And then the story can change. The story can change. That which happened, happened. It isn't who you are. This is a journey. And so what we're doing is we're naming it, taking away the power of it, recognizing the bruises that need to be healed, and not stepping into repeating it. How do we do that? Well, Lady Ma'at must have looked at our presentation already, because Lady Ma'at talked about circles and cultural spaces. We are an ancestral people. Indigenous practices are ours. Creativity is ours. Community wisdom is ours. I am only because we are. So how do we find the people who will help us? What do we have to look for? Is it okay just to go to any counsellor? Suppose they've got the wrong lens. Do they understand our heritage, or do they pathologize us? Are we made dysfunctional? Do they dehumanize us? So we leave with a condition. We don't leave with ourselves and our story. Or do we have a counsellor or a helper, an elder or whoever that can hold the culture with respect while we honour our ancestry and our ancestors and our natural way of healing?
So a starting point, asking the question, is this who I am? Is this what happened to me? What part of me is still a child running the show? Who can witness me without pathologic, I can't get words out today.
English isn't your first language, that's why. It's what we were left with. Pathologizing.
Yeah, thank you. And do they understand my culture, my history, and my experience? You know, colonization. Who do we trust? Who are we told to trust? Who are we coerced or forced to trust? Many in the church speaks about the white Jesus. And based on who we are invited or told to trust, when I see a black man with a nice car, do I say bank manager? Or do I say something else? Really important to check myself. And that's one example. There are many examples of where our mind has been colonized to think in a certain way. And it's amazing the number of people that I've met who said, yeah, I tried counseling, it didn't work. And then we asked the question, who was your counselor? Oh, yeah. Because somebody said that when they spoke to the counselor would cry, and then they had to take care of the counselor. So that was no good. Yeah. And I was reflecting, and yesterday the thought came to me that for those of us in the therapeutic field, we learn a lot about Freud and fraud, and and I put the two words together deliberately. And Freud talked about good breast, bad breast. And then it hit me, our mothers were used to wet nurse other people's children. So she had no capacity to have bad breast, because the good breast, one good breast was for her and one good breast was for somebody else. We think about what we have been through as a people.
It's interesting that you spoke about Freud the fraud. I don't remember in my training hearing about Dr. Naeem Akbar, Sister Dr. Joy de Leary, Queen Mother Marimba Annie, Dr. Amos Wilson, any of my teachers, Dr. Francis Cresswell Singh, and the idea of different ways. Lady Ma'at talked about starting now, and that's where we are. And one of the things that it would be useful to do, so that we don't have to end up taking care of a counselor who starts crying because of their hearing about our trauma. Can you imagine? Hearing about our trauma makes them cry. And so that triangle, you know, somebody becomes the victim, then you become the rescuer, then you don't get healed. So the lens of the person who's helping, the lens of the therapist, we have to ask questions. It's our journey, our lives. Ask questions. Ask yourself, is this person able to help me? You know, what are the principles that I want to use to guide my life? I don't just want to have, you know, towards the end of the year we celebrate Kwanzaa. No, this is a liberty. You know, umoja, kujigugulia, ujama, ujima, nia, kuumba, imani. These are things that should be rolling off our tongue. We should know what these things are. To be ma'article, we should know what these things are. If we keep looking to people who don't know anything about us, or maybe they do, but they don't want us to know about ourselves, we will not learn about these practices and pathways. The starting point is to know what happened to you and who can help you. Not just because they've got white or light skin or wear a white coat and can pathologize you. We're looking at healing.
So I have a question for you. You know, write down your question, write down your answers, acknowledge what happened, be honest with yourself, get help and invest in your healing, recognizing the issue is often older than ourselves. So what did you learn about yourself today? What has been that awakening for yourself today? Take a minute.
I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are growing, together now. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gotta keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
So healing, we peel one layer back of the onion to get to the next. We won't get to the next till we peel that one layer off. So we may not know the journey or the destination, but take the step to peel that layer of the onion back. And we heal as community in the circle, as has already been said. And our culture, it can be our medicine. Our elders can be our medicine. Our community can be our medicine to enable us to move forward, to grow. So name for yourself one pattern that you want to work on. Please continue, sister.
Yeah, as we close, we remember that our axiology is social. We are social beings, so we don't want to do anything in isolation. We want to be quiet, meditate, and then seek support, remembering that we're not what happened to us, but that what happened to us does matter. Let's stay connected. We've just been through quite a big journey, and I'm really asking everyone to take care of themselves as we come to close. And we hopefully, what's being posted by the Hidden Truth team includes an opportunity to be in contact with us and let us know if you want to have a conversation that is for you, not for public consumption. You may want individual attention, or you might want us to refer you somewhere. We're happy to do that. But the point is that we have to do something. Let's keep the conversation going.
So thank you for your courage to be here, to be present, to listen to us, to learn the difference between reflux and belching and why it keeps recurring, and look forward to a brighter future for your life.
And if you have a blip or a burp, be kind to yourself, because healing is not an overnight thing. The journey continues, and we're here. Give thanks.
Brothers and sisters, please, I'm looking at Brother Andrew Stevens' comments. This presentation is very powerful healing. Andrew, part 2 is needed. I hear you, brother. You're one of our royal guests on this program. Sister Valerie, who herself is a practitioner, she states healing has many layers. We are healing not just our wounds, but that of our ancestors. We heal for them too. This is absolutely, Sister Andrea Tellman says, amazing, absolutely amazing. Remember what our brothers and sisters stated, family. If you do need to follow this up, if there's anything that you say, you know what, I'd like to have a private conversation or come to one of your healing classes, please look at the details that our team in the background has been putting down. Where to get the recording, missed part of it. If you're a member of the Hidden Truth subscription, you will be sent out the recording of the full show. The full show. Sister Glasmin says, what a powerful night. Beverly Hillman says, refuse to let negativity define you. Everyone has experienced some form of trauma. And then I know a lot of you have just been dropping the ones down tonight. Sister Catherine says, this is a reality check. Sister Moot, I didn't know Sister Moot was with us tonight. Lovely presentation, beloved. And so on and so on. I can't read out all of your comments, but I can see that this is so powerful. Brother Royston, Sister Doctor, can I bow to you at this time? Brothers and sisters, they have ended exactly on time. Absolutely amazing. So I would like to know, are there any questions? I really would like to see if there's any questions, or if you'd like to say anything to our two guests, can you put your hand up, a raising hand emoji, and I will allow you, because, you know, this is a very special night. We are dealing with some issues that are so pertinent, and I would like just to have a little time to see whether we can um, ask any questions. Okay, we've got quite a few coming through already. I'll probably direct this one, but anyway, Sister Doctor, Brother Royston, I'll throw this out. Are fibroids a direct result of unresolved trauma, reflux, and emotions? If we can answer the questions as brief as possible so we can get through as many.
Okay,
The
so I
body keeps score.
yeah, the body keeps score, and the thing is, we are interrelated. You know, stress can cause that. This can cause this. Now, I am not going to profess to be someone who's medically trained in terms of your biology and wouldn't want to tell you that that is the cause. But what I can tell you is that pharma trained doctors recognize that there are things that impact on our bodies, but they're not allowed to tell you because they're pharma trained. They have to give you some diagnosis, some medication, or some operation. What we advocate is a more holistic approach. Brother King, you were going to say something. I believe you put your hand up.
Yeah, that bit's moved on now, but even the thing we call the big C, at the center of it is a trauma. Yeah.
It's deep.
At the center of it is a trauma. You know, you may not know where it's begun, but if you do the work of tracing back, at its core is a trauma. And of course, medication is about something that money will buy rather than what's in your kitchen cupboard.
Fantastic. What culturally appropriate services are available for black people to access who are experiencing mental health crises, breakdowns, or low moods? Example, counseling. Why are these services so expensive for us? And are there groups sessions available, even if it's online?
There are a number of. Do you want to go, Brother King? There
Go
are a
ahead.
number of organizations that are now trained and ready to provide services for our community because they understand our community, actually have gone to great lengths to do more than the Eurocentric training. Bringing in African-centered ways of doing things, things that will not be found in Eurocentric spaces. So we can give you a list of those. I haven't got the list right with me right now, Brother King. I don't know if you know of any you can mention right now, but we're happy to share that information.
That was one reason I mentioned Patty Gift, because there was a story a brother told about a father whose son had an episode and the system just wanted to give them medication. And they took him and supported him without medication to a full recovery. Because an episode is your cup running over. Yeah. And being able to learn to empty the cup. We talked about sleep, the quality of food you eat, all of those things. We run our body to destruction. And when we fall over, we say, how did that happen? Because it builds up. We've got a powerfully brilliant body. But if we abuse it, one day it's going to say, Chaman, I can't keep doing this.
Can I also say that in the Hidden Truth family and audience, there are healers, there are trained, we are a community of people who not only are trained, experienced, and are in service, but we will attend events such as this because we want to stay connected. We have the lived experience, we are concerned, and we are available. So, even in the chat, people may choose to write the names of, there you are, the Black African and Asian Therapy Network. There are a number, thank you so much for that. There are a number of organizations. And and I heard the question about, why is it so expensive? The question is an interesting one because it's far more expensive to live with the trauma. It's far more, it's a false economy to imagine that whatever you get you're comparing economically, and so you'll go for the cheaper option. What you need to do is go for the right option, because you are worth the right option. And some of these agencies, they may be funded, or they may just be there to cry when you say what your truth is. You really need trained professionals who deserve to be recognized and remunerated. As a lot of us are working in the community, and we do that because we love our community.
Yeah. So two things.
So
Speaking.
I'm gonna have to jump in there. I'm gonna have to jump in there because we need the questions to be answered very briefly.
Okay,
Okay, we're
very
going to do
brief,
that. We're going
succinct.
to do that.
Yeah, because
So,
what happens is that we got a lot of questions, and I
okay,
get cussed at the end of it because people say you didn't ask my question. That's because we run
Nobody
out of
okay.
time.
cusses you, Brother
So,
Andrew. Go
But
ahead,
beloved, believe
Brother
me,
King.
I'm public enemy number, so I'm gonna have to move on, Royston. I'm gonna have to move on
but
because there are some very
this is
powerful questions.
this is
Because
very
I'm gonna have,
succinct. Very
huh?
succinct. This is very succinct. Regular men's group exists, and if anybody wants men's group, get in touch. Yeah.
Okay, make sure we put our brother Royston's contact details on. And the reason why I'm being trying to be firm with the two, because you've both have done such a fantastic job tonight. You've actually manifested in my heart. This is what Hidden Truth's about. It's not about rhetoric, not about saying now look how good I am. You two are literally healing worldwide, and that's why I love it. And I'm looking at some of these questions. These are very serious questions, and that's why I really want to ask them before we finish tonight. So the next question, and only one of you can answer: can inner work heal all traumas, or are there some traumas that cannot be healed? Only one of you, please.
The answer is yes. It's work, but
Jeez.
it's yes.
Wow. So there's always hope. Is not now this one is serious. Is narcissism a mental illness, and can a narcissist be healed? Jeez.
So narcissism is a form of trauma, and all trauma can be processed correctly and healed. But it starts with acceptance.
Wow. Feeling that, King. There's definitely going to have to be a part two. Can you love someone who constantly triggers you, but not like them? Now that's deep. I'm going to ask that one more time. Can you? I know. See, Sister Doctor's laughing. Can you love someone who constantly triggers you, but not like them? That's deep.
Yes.
Because you're triggering yourself. They're not triggering you.
Wow.
You told us
Come
to
on,
keep it brief.
say what you want to say, Sister Doctor. Say what you want to say, beloved.
Yeah, the concept of love is an interesting one, right? So people often think that love looks like this. You can love someone from a distance and not like them. And so you take care of yourself, because you have to love yourself as well.
And that could mean stepping away.
Wow. Wow. Can you be having a breakdown and not even realize it?
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, alcohol lives there.
I think you've both answered this already. What help is available for us as a people? And I think, again, brothers and sisters, don't forget these two special guests we've got tonight. They are contactable after the show as well. So please make sure you click their details down, because there's lots of work, and these two are specialists in that area. Can generational curses be broken? Who has to do the work? And if only one person does that work, can this heal everyone who is affected?
So I'll jump in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Okay, we are responsible for ourselves. That's where you have to start. You have to start with the I. Know thyself was message left by the ancients. We have to do the work on ourselves. If we are it's like going on a diet. If you're going to go on a diet, but only eat cream cake because your friend is eating cream cake, then you are not dealing with what you have to deal with. You have to start with yourself. That is how you break curses.
Wow. Big guy Elijah. I think this is someone from the United States. Did you want to say anything to our guest tonight?
Actually, this is Elijah's mom, Sister Mimi.
That's right. You know what, sister? I
Sister
always
Malika.
forget your name.
Yeah.
But my beautiful queen, you know you're a member of our family. What would you like to
Oh,
say,
thank
sister?
you. I just wanted to comment. She had touched on something profound in the presentation. I have friends that work in the industry, and they always talk about how when they did movies like Roots, and there was another movie that talked about enslavement, how the actors literally had basically episodes or breakdowns because they were feeling the ancestral pain. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to say thank you for the presentation.
Yeah.
Everything that you touched on was very profound.
Um, Go to Amina Castle, people feel it and cry and weep because they're feeling it,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, we have that in the slave quarters here too.
yeah, and I love the pushback. Narcissism is ego. Um, we experience trauma from pre-birth, so we may not know the impact of that trauma. And if there was time, I can give you a really good example of that.
We don't have
Several
time.
good examples of pre-birth trauma that's impacting on the individual. So what we call ego is the manifestation of something that's unhealed.
Thank you very much for your question, and thank you very much for being part of the family. Um, that you just talked about also happens in the workplace. Some of us are exposed to trauma. We're given the responsibility of being in charge of EDI and whatever, and we're not given the support that we need to have because we are being triggered over and over and over again as we see reflections of ourselves being hurt.
Brothers and sisters, tonight is a very special night. Very special night. And the reason why I love this night more so than others, and I'm not putting down any of our previous speakers before, because we always have fantastic shows.
Mm.
This tonight is so real. The questions I'm looking at is not about ego. These are not rhetorical questions. These are real serious questions. Sister Doctor, what do we women do if the men are not willing or able to do the work?
The question is not 100% clear for me. So, what do we women do for ourselves if the man is not able to do the work, or what do we women do with the men? Because we can't make the men do it. The healing work has to come from the desire and the intention within yourself. Because if you are trying to do something on the outside and you can't reach the inside, or there is resistance on the inside, the work cannot be done.
Mm.
Very deep.
And the co
Sorry, brother, I ain't got time. I really
okay,
haven't. I haven't got
okay.
time. But the next question is your question, Royston. Can
Hmm.
an elder who caused trauma be safely challenged about what they did and the impact that it had on you?
Yes, but that needs to be set up and managed. Yeah, this is the council that we're talking about. And a man that won't do his work, he's just afraid. He's simply afraid. And the old stories of masculinity prevaricates. And my final word, and I won't speak after this, if we say we know what
No,
the
you
answer
can.
is,
You can.
okay, if we say we know what the answer is, then we're setting ourselves up to fail. We have to step in with an openness and a willingness for the work to be done. If I come with a list of these are the 5 things that are wrong with me, then I've gone down the wrong road completely.
Brothers and sisters, this is so deep. We've gone way over time. You know we've gone way over time, but this is how much I'm feeling tonight. Sister Doctor, how dangerous is, or can you just touch on, my queen, about starting the journey but not finishing it?
Oh, wow.
This is
Wow.
not for me. This is how much the audience tonight is tuned into both of you. This is, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
So there are two things there that come to mind. One is if you start a journey, that is better than not starting a journey. My concern would be if you are being opened up and not being properly closed before you continue your journey. That's where the risk is. We as professionals have a duty of care. Apart from ethics, that care for the self, for the whole self, recognizes that if you open up a wound, you don't send someone away with the wound gaping. That is tantamount to doing harm, and that's not what we are supposed to be doing. So I hope that responds in some useful way.
Beautiful, sis. I know this is hard for two of you because each one of these questions you can spend an hour on. Believe me, I do appreciate that.
You got the next one,
And
Brother King.
and Brother Royston, is the middle child syndrome a reality?
Yes, yes, yes. Come to an NCBI workshop. We spend a good hour talking about birth order. Every position in our birth order has a different impact. Ignore it at our peril.
Wow. You both are going to have to come back and go into this on a deeper level, man, because this is serious. Sister Doctor, how, or maybe Royston, I'm not sure, how has trauma in young people manifested into the level of gun and knife crime that we have in our society towards each other?
They've watched us. They have learned from us. And what we look at, if every generation in our eyes gets worse in its behavior, but they have learned from us. So when they are running amok on the street, we need to take responsibility about what did I not do? Beating a child into submission is creating an angry beast. Taking a mobile phone from a child for a month is creating a prison model. Take the mobile phone for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. Have the conversation. Educate. Don't punish.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Let's not overlook the context. Many of our young people go to a schooling system. They don't go to an education system. That schooling system pathologizes them. It does not treat them equally. And it also legitimizes practices like isolation booths. So you could be sending your child, who is a social being, into a situation where you think they're going to be educated and actually have social exposure. That social exposure helps them to deal with conflict in life, so on and so forth. And what the school is doing is putting them in isolation. So they come through the door and they're already guilty. And they are made to sit in places where there are barriers, so they can't see anything on the either side of them, which is the same as being in a cell.
Yeah.
That is what is happening to a lot of our children, and they can't be heard by their parents, partly because their parents have not done the work to avoid the reflux. They also have childhood wounds. I know of adults who came from another place, went to school in the UK, were beaten, punished. Parents thought, well, you must have done something wrong and the discipline is what it is. But some of these teachers were racist and other names, and the child did not get heard. They had to endure it, and now they are adults, and that has never been addressed. They've never had the chance to cry and talk about the teacher who hit them, who threw them across the room. I know of a school where the head teacher or teachers used to grab the hair of young people who came from the Caribbean, grab what you would, let's call it unati, and just twirl it, just pull it and twirl it. And the child could do nothing. Nothing, just be subjected to that abuse. And some of the children cannot cope with it. And their anger and frustration spills out into the reflection that they see of themselves, which they now hate because they haven't been given enough love. This is why the academies that Hidden Truth supports are vital. It shows our young people love. It gives them value for themselves. It doesn't just tell them what to think, it tells them how to think. It recognizes that we are in a war, a spiritual war, a mental war, that people who teach us in those schools don't want us to rise above the bottom rung. I'm stopping talking now.
This is fire tonight. This is fire tonight.
This is the doctor of education we're listening to right
This
now.
this
You
is
know?
fire tonight. Sister Bianca. Sister Bianca, are you with us?
Hi, and thanks everyone. So a lot of the issues amongst the community is like maybe like absent fathers and absent mothers. Is there any like programs to kind of help for this type of thing? So like unfortunately in my generation, like they're kind of dropping down like flies out there. Like there's a lot of like crime going on right now. And a lot of them will say that it is because identity, and particularly fathers not being around. Some would say it's because of their mom, but I'm just wondering if there's any kind of programs, because I don't know like what's going to happen in the next couple of years now, because we really are like in a crisis at the moment.
I'm going to have one sentence before you speak, Brother King. That
Yeah.
NCBI workshop is a really important program to help you start to dismantle that. Brother King, up to you.
Yeah. We as parents, from the day we plant a seed or we receive a seed, need to learn about parenting, particularly in an infrastructure that isn't designed for us or welcomes us. So if we don't, then we bring our trauma to our children, and we bring our trauma, add to the trauma that they're experiencing out there. They can't cope with it. So they don't love themselves.
There
This is
are a
deep.
lot of fathers present. I must say that, though. A lot of the fathers who are present are actually being present in the lives of children they didn't even father. So they are being present in their own children's lives. And then you have these men's groups and the men's work where they are being there for the young men. And I want to salute them. This is a system that dehumanizes us and pathologizes us. It doesn't celebrate us enough. And yes, we do need more present fathers, but may I mention that some of those fathers have the child who has the trauma, and they are seeking comfort in a very funny way. That's why we need rites of passage programs. We need to do the work.
You know,
Wow. Well, so I'm gonna
Lucian.
have to jump in there, brother. Time. I've
Okay.
gone way. I mean, I've broken my golden rule tonight. I've broken my golden rule. I've literally spoilt the two of you tonight because this is mad. This is mad, and no one's leaving the platform. Everyone is tuned in. Sister Carol Hodges, are you there? Sister Carol Hodges, are you there, my queen? Sister Carol Hodges, are you there? I know you've been waiting a long time. I'll have to move on because we've gone just so far over time. We've gone so far over time. Oh gosh, man, some of these questions are just so powerful. How can, and this will be the last one. How can one heal if the perpetrator of your pain is now deceased?
Let's speak offline. It can be done. Absolutely can be done. Let's speak offline.
Okay, brothers and sisters. And Sister Nicola, is your hand up, Sister Nicola?
Yeah, it is. It was just a quick question because what I'm recognizing in this space as well from a business point of view is that this work is needed and needs to be supported, right? And some of the people that need the help won't have the finances. So how can the business community also contribute to helping some of our employers get healed in this space as well?
That's a powerful question. That is a powerful question.
And the thing I'd say is that sometimes we spend more on entertainment than we spend on our healing. and an entertainment card could mean, a bottle of something or a little bag of something, right? It costs money. And all we need to do is say, take a percentage of that, put towards my recovery. It's cheaper.
And I hear the call for the business community to step forward. We do need allies in this work. And allyship is often seen as being just linked to issues of inequality and inequity. But some of us need allies to support us actually get the support, the help we need. And those businesses can do that by providing the spaces. Sometimes someone who needs the healing doesn't have the space, they don't have the privacy because of something that's going on in the domestic space. So we need spaces that are secure, that we can meet people in, as neutral, they can speak. We also need people who are in positions in an organization where they have a budget and they can support their staff, because many of us are working twice as hard to get half as far and even more. And we need coaches, we need counselors, we need a safe space so that we can continue to elevate through leadership, and we need allies in that. If I have to send someone to someone else because I can't do the work, I do that, and I know Brother King does the same thing. We need allies in this work.
So a fundraiser would be good. If there's a fundraiser in the room, that would be good, because that's another way to access the funds to enable and support our community.
Brothers and sisters, what a night! What a night! Family, please, these two have worked. You see, you got to understand. There's work that we see and there's work that we don't see. And so what we saw tonight was really just 10% of the amount of work they've put into this before they even came onto the show the love in the. I mean, some of you are still asking questions. We've gone so far over time. I'm trying to keep everyone on a level because this has been one amazing night. And let us know, brothers and sisters, put a shade if you'd like to see a part 2. Put a shade, please, if you think, you know what, there is room for a part 2. I didn't get a chance to even ask my question. Let me know, because this was one dege night, brothers and sisters. This was these two dropping pearls. And I think the level that they dropped it on was just so magnificent. Family, this is the hidden truth. These are the type of shows that remind me from day one, this is what this show was meant to be doing worldwide. This is the reason why we have the hidden truth.
Thank you
Not
for
for
the privilege.
ego, but for really helping the community. Brother Royston, I bow to you, my king. Sister Doctor, I bow to you, my queen. This was absolutely exactly what I wanted tonight. I mean, perfection in a tin. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.